And if you have any stories about radioactive stuff going on in this area, I'd like to film you tonight if any of you have any stories. Yeah.
We were traveling in South Virginia one time and came through a town. There was a building built over a stream, and they had coal mining down there. And the stream was blue, and on the other side of the stream was black.
Mm.
Just made you sick,
Yeah.
you know.
Being in Iowa, our problem is with industrialized agriculture and all the chemicals that are used in that process. And it's affecting our water, and we have an expert on Monsanto, and what Monsanto's part is. Wanted to speak on that, she wasn't.
I wish I were an expert.
And what is your name?
Sharon?
Sharon? And what can you tell me?
I really identified with your comment about some of us react when we hear bad news. Some people act one way and another people get mad and get active. And that's me, because I just can't stand what we're doing to our children and the ability of some people to turn out just turn away from acknowledging that we have a problem. And, you know, I'll speak at any time, anywhere, about GMOs is my really, and what Monsanto's done to this worldwide.
Have you got anything up on YouTube of you speaking? Is there anything on YouTube
No,
of
I
you
haven't.
speaking?
I probably should, shouldn't I? And you all know that the Hague Tribunal just found Monsanto guilty of crimes against humanity. So
Really?
yes, and if you can watch, which probably is on YouTube, the 2-hour jury, various representatives from 3 or 4 or 5 different countries around the world, and their explanation of why Monsanto was found guilty and what they were guilty of. It's fascinating and shocking too. I mean, it's just what Monsanto has done is just unbelievable.
So is this story somewhere on the web? What should we look for?
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
The story,
What title
story
would it
about
have?
The crimes against humanity.
Okay.
And Monsanto's history, and PVCs, and DDT, and Agent Orange, and we just go, and glyphosate, Roundup, and the lies that they maintain that it's safe and so on. It's just, and everybody should be very much aware that the Environmental Protection Agency only tests the active ingredient in Roundup, but according to Professor Seralini, who's tested the formula, when you add the inert ingredients to that formula, it doesn't become 100 times more toxic, it becomes 1,000 times more toxic. It's very, very toxic, and it's not being tested. They only test for the glyphosate. And you know, it's bad, but when you mix it together with the other ingredients, it's awful.
So what has happened to the water in Iowa from this?
Well, the biggest problem we have in Iowa, and Maggie can tell you about that too, all of us here can tell you, that the synthetic fertilizer that the farmers use and overuse runs off into our water, streams and rivers and lakes, and is creating a very toxic type of water. And the Des Moines, I don't know if you're familiar about this, but the Des Moines Water Works works very hard to get the nitrates out. And I personally know of at least 2 women who have lost babies, farm women, who have lost babies because they drank the well water. There was a woman who testified whose husband died. He had cancer and he was told, you know, he drank the well water and he ultimately died, which I think contributed to his death. But we have GMO farming, and it's requires the use of Roundup and the use of additional pesticides, because Roundup is now no longer works against many weeds and insects too. So BT corn is starting to fail against insects, and so we have a really bad situation, and farmers someone told me it was an age issue, that the older farmers could care less, and they're not going to change their ways. And then also you can consider that a lot of farmers today in Iowa are tenant farmers. And they're being pushed by their owners to maximize profit. So they're going to farm all the way up to the very edge of the streams or the rivers or whatever. And so when it rains, and we're having huge topsoil loss that's running into is being carried off down the Mississippi River. I mean, probably half of Iowa's topsoil is sitting down in the Gulf of Mexico right now. We're a major contributor to the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico because of the nitrates.
But one of the other things that Sharon didn't mention yet is the confined animal feeding operations that we have
Oh,
here
yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Iowa. We're a big hog producer.
The
And
biggest.
And cattle raisers.
We're the biggest hog
And
hog
cattle
producers.
producers.
And cattle, and
And
chickens, and turkeys.
And eggs.
And they're,
And nitrates.
they're fed, they're confined in these feeding operations where all they do is throw food at them. And, they ship more than, that we have, what do we do with all that waste? And we're not very effective at managing it. One of the scariest things that we learned in the last meeting, I thought, and Sharon can say, was that they predict that we will triple the number of CAFOs in our state over the next near future, 10, 20 years.
Yeah, well, they expected for every so many acres, do you remember, Jan, how many acres? For every, something like 500 acres, you could put a CAFO on it.
Tell them what a CAFO is.
Oh, a confined animal feeding operation. And so they figured out how many acres there are in the state of Iowa, and they thought, well, if we can put a CAFO on every so many acres, we can have 45,000 more CAFOs in this state. Right now we have over 9,000. We have 22 million hogs and there are 3 million people. Our sewage is treated. Their sewage is not, and the hogs produce something, I've heard anywhere from 7 to 10 times more sewage than a human. So you have millions, literally millions of tons probably, of hog confinement, primarily hog confinement, well, not really.
Like you say, we're the biggest of that, but
Yeah.
close.
It's not treated, it's being washed into our, spread on the land and washed down the streams. And many states, and I found this out, a lot of states say that you can only spread that manure on the land every other year. But we're doing it every year and lots of it, because they have to get rid of it somehow. It's awful. Well, not to mention the humane,
Yes,
lack of humane.
yeah, right.
Oh, and there's only so many feet between your property and a CAFO. And this year, our legislature said that if you file a nuisance suit, in other words, your property is going to be invaded by CAFOs, they outlawed you filing nuisance suits. So you end up paying all the costs and a penalty, I think. And so it just made it worse for if you live in. And I'm from Sac County. I'm from a small rural area where people have CAFOs next to them, and their property values go down. It's hard to live there. It's hard to raise your children there. It's hard to go outside and hang up your laundry because it comes back in smelling like CAFOs, like animal waste.
Now, another very important thing is that they're putting antibiotics in the feed. 70% of all the antibiotics created in this United States goes into animal feed. And only about 25% of the actual antibiotic is absorbed by the animal. So you have all this antibiotic that is running into our waters and streams, and we're creating and contributing dramatically to the loss of our power and the success of our antibiotics. And I think many people will tell you, scientists will tell you now that we've passed beyond the antibiotic medical period of time. Because our antibiotics, and we've had, I personally know of at least 2 people who have died in the state because antibiotics didn't, last year there were 23,000 Americans that died in the United States because antibiotics failed. And right now, the US government says, you can go ahead and put your antibiotics and feed those perfectly healthy animals and antibiotics in their feed. And if we ask you not to on a voluntary basis.
I don't.
Could you speak loudly so, yeah.
I'm not necessarily having a question, but we have a member here, a WILF member here, who has worked on nuclear power for many, many years. I kept hoping she would walk in because she was due to come. Her name is Jane Majors. I don't know if you've heard of Jane. We would probably be having a nuclear power plant for many years just outside of Des Moines, except she and a few others of us lobbied so very hard. It's where the Neil Smith Wildlife Refuge is now. And we went constantly. We were, well, at any rate, I'll try to make it a little bit shorter. These kind of stories you could go on.
I know,
couldn't you?
they're interesting stories, yeah.
Yes, anyway, is the land that where that nuclear power plant was supposed to have gone, have been built and wasn't, is now the Neil Smith Wildlife Refuge. So we feel really good about that.
Oh, that's great.
We can't take full credit that we stopped it because 3 Mile Island happened, and all of a sudden, no nuclear power plants were being built.
That's right.
But we held it back, so it wasn't in the process of getting built at the time of that.
Where there are those of us who believe that nuclear power is on its way out with the bankruptcy of Toshiba and Areva and Westinghouse. It's really, and the fact that wind and solar are starting to pay for themselves and actually make some money for the investors. You know, it's the business people are going to figure it out now. Yes, sir.
I'm just going to back you up. Today I was listening to what Jan was doing, but it was on TV out in Washington, D.C. They have about 50,000, 30,000 people there. And they were very good, and they were very good speakers, and they were bringing up that, like Iowa, that 50% of our power is now coming from windmills, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh.
And this goes to your thing that people think atomic power is on its way out because the windmills are a heck of a lot better, a heck of a lot safer and everything else. But I think the biggest thing is that the other thing that makes me mad or upset is that when they try to take over the Des Moines waterworks, and it was our waterworks, we paid for it, and those 3 counties up there are ruining the water, and they don't want to take anything about it, and the legislature doesn't do anything. And that's where your biggest problem is, right there. And you just got to keep going, but you shouldn't be having a nice park out there, and it is a nice park, being taken away and having all the runoff go into the river and come down here and then pay for it down here, and they get off scot-free.
So whose runoff are you talking about?
The 3 counties up there that
The 3 counties that the Raccoon River runs through.
Farming.
run into. There's 3 counties, and all they did was dump all their crap and stuff. It went down there,
Yeah.
and Polk County sued them. They got thrown out, and I don't think they should have got thrown out.
Another
But
one of our
anyway,
farming problems.
Wow.
They ruined it, and it gets down here, and Des Moines has had to pay extreme amount of money to get the crap.
Remove the nitrates.
To
And a lot
clean
of
it
people
up.
with private wells can't use their well water because it has too many nitrates in it. So they have all the water that they drink or boil pasta in, and they have to bring in all of that water, buy it or whatever.
Is there any way to get rid of the nitrates by boiling or
They
anything?
have to
No,
get it-
you can't
Very
boil it, get it
expensive.
out.
They have to get it below 10 parts per million, which is the EPA standard. And they're running about 8 now. I think Bill Stowe, who manages the Des Moines Waterworks, had to tries to keep it at 8 parts per million, which is pretty good. But I also want to point out to you, I don't know if you know this, but there is an installation in Des Moines, military installation in Des Moines, where many of the drones that are flying in the Middle East are being functioned, or they're worked out of this location. And there's going to be a group of people camping out at that site to demonstrate against this drone headquarters just near the Des Moines airport starting tomorrow, Monday. And I don't know how long they're going to be there, but it's going to be a long time, and they're going to be camping on the site.
24 hours a day?
Yes.
Woo-wee!
I
Yeah.
was wondering too if it would be nice for Sherry to kind of update Ellen on the Bakken and,
Oh, yes.
and, yeah, because since we're so familiar with it, but, you know, North Carolina wouldn't be, so maybe you can.
Well, this is going to WILPF.
Huh?
This is going to WILPF.
Yes, so what she was saying is the Bakken pipeline, that's what's now more nationally known as the Dakota Access Pipeline. It's the one that the, like at Standing Rock, the native tribes were defending. And it comes, you know, through North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Illinois. And it's a lot of people's understanding now it's just going to go down to the Gulf of Mexico and be sold on the market and tagged for war or something like that. But some of the problems with it is of course it's going under major waterways. So for instance, it's going under the Mississippi River, the Missouri River, and the Des Moines River. So if it like leaks, let's say under the Des Moines River, then all of Des Moines' water is, you know, going to have this Bakken oil product in it. And we've been fighting it. There were many landowners that said, no, we don't want this. And but then the Iowa Utilities Board, which is a 3-person board appointed by the governor, decided it was a utility and decided that it warranted needing eminent domain. And so that's how, I think all of the other 3 states kind of folded in pretty quick, but Iowa was the longest one. Could go on into details about this stuff and how they, you know, left debris in the ground, burned like $10,000 worth of walnut trees when they said they were going to hold them back for the landowner. Didn't have a fence, cows fell down and died, but lots and lots of stories. So where it's at now, it sounds like, especially when Trump became president and he gave the thumbs up, let's keep moving forward. One of the things that was holding it back is it was supposed to have an environmental impact statement done on it. I think Obama had said that should be done, but then I think Trump said, no, we don't need this. And so the pipeline finished getting built after inauguration. And I think right now what I've heard from this past week is it's filling up with, they're filling it up with oil, but it's not pressurized yet where they're pushing it through.
Is Iowa, has it got oil in Iowa yet?
From what I understand from my secondhand, thirdhand sources, it sounds like it probably does have oil in it or is getting filled with oil right now.
And how far does it go?
Within Iowa?
Yeah.
It cuts diagonally through the state from the
Fully.
north, like the northwest corner to the southeast corner, straight diagonal through the state.
1,100 miles exactly, and some miles.
Where does it start?
North Dakota,
In North
Bakken
Dakota.
oil fields. It connects
Can
to
I
a
have a-
pipeline that goes to the coast.
Can I have a point of personal privilege?
For about a year, a group of us have been going to the City Council of Des Moines and asking the City Council to agree to a citizens task force on sustainability. And in August, the City Council met in a long workshop, and through a lot of finagling, they adopted as part of the city plan to make the task force official. So now we are an official citizens task force on sustainability. We have a long way to go, but one of the biggest things, and I'm not going to tell all the things that are going to be involved in that, but one of the biggest things is being involved. We really want to be involved in climate change and energy in Des Moines. And if you Google STAR, S-T-A-R, communities/Des Moines, you'll see that we are rated on all kinds of areas on sustainability. But one of the ones we're the worst at is climate and energy. And so we're going to be working with the city council and with the mayor and with the city departments to develop policies and actions in that area. So right now we have a 4 out of 100 score, if you look that up. And we would like to really work on the area of climate action, how to get our greenhouse gases down, like by 2030, get them down by maybe 40%, by 2080, hopefully 80%. But it's going to take a lot of work, and we're going to need a lot of citizens that join us at city council meetings and support the work that we're going to try to promote. So that's kind of a summary of it.
How can we be so bad when Mid-American is going all wind?
Well, the city itself just, the wind thing is kind of an Iowa thing. It's not like a Des Moines thing. And the greenhouse gases in Des Moines, the whole thing is very poor. We really have a lot to work on.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And that includes solar, that includes, and one of the programs you may get involved in if you're a homeowner here in Des Moines, the city is going to pay about half of what it would cost you to create green infrastructure in your yard. Whether it's a bioswale, whether it's a rain garden, whether it's a rain barrel, whether it's a green roof, whatever you do, the city will pay about half of it if you apply. And that's going to be, I think, starting in June. So we're going to do that route too. It's called green infrastructure. So that's a really biggie that we have a really, his name is John, and I can't think of his last name. He's a really wonderful department head of public works that is really very environmentally aware. And of course, Josh Mandelbaum is running, was going to run against Chris Hensley. He's an environmental lawyer. We got to get more people on city council that are environmentally aware, because right now our city council is pretty poor. Yeah, Chris Hensley dropped out, and I think she got a little scared from what was going on. I hope so. Yeah, and
Tell a little bit about what the sustainability committee meets and who's on it.
oh well, if anybody can be on it. So if you're interested, we were meeting every week for about a year, because it took a lot of time to get this ready, and now we're meeting about twice a month. And we haven't come to a certain, whether Mondays or Wednesdays right now, because we're finding that the city department people are having difficulty coming, and we want to make sure they come, as well as people from about 12 different environmental organizations are involved in this, from Citizens Climate Lobby, Sierra Club, Interfaith Green Coalition, I'm trying to think of other ones. The Unitarian Church has an environmental group. But we also would like to make it very gender balanced and also representative of all minorities in Des Moines as well. So we're still working on that at this point in time.
Really good thing to do locally.
Right, with the federal and state governments so paralyzed when it comes to just about every justice issue, it's good to work locally at this point in time.
Amen.
Amen.
And a lot of people aren't aware of what OFA, what we are about. We're a national group.
What's the name of it?
Organizing for Action. We were started by President Obama in 2013. And we're a national. We have 250 chapters across the country. What we want to do, this is exciting news. I'm a neighborhood team leader. Rick Smith, our chapter lead, is not here today. He's the Central Iowa chapter lead. We're in the Drake neighborhood. And we just yesterday, I sat and worked with Copycat on Forest Avenue. We're going to have a Des Moines Metro website, Des Moines Metro OFA website. And the president is urging all of the nonprofits to post your events under our umbrella. Of course, you can have your own website, but he wants us all to work together. And I brought that little printout. He talked with some college students last week in Chicago, and he did say, you know, yeah, voting is wonderful, but we have got to come together on these issues.
Is this Obama?
Yes. And
No, it wasn't the other one.
oh no.
Let me say for a second.
But our neighborhood, I heard somebody talking, Maggie, about something that you did citywide. We have been meeting since '08 in our, I worked 08, but when we got to Des Moines since 2010. We've been meeting every 2 months. And we talk about issues, and then we try to, the person there, they sign up to work with that person that was speaking on whatever issue. But I think it's going to be in July, we're going to have our biggest event ever attempted. It's going to be, well, what's the title? Block Party for the People, put down the signs, cross the lines, and come and meet your neighbor. The Drake neighborhood is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the entire country. We have refugees, we have Hispanic. I'm 2 blocks from a mosque. We have two Jewish temples in our neighborhood. So we're going to really focus on, I've already got a KO that's going to speak, a member of the Jewish community. I'm going to try to get a Hispanic person. I'm not sure of the lineup. And so I'm wanting some people that will volunteer to be on this committee, because this is something I can't do. At one time I had a co-leader, and she dropped out, and she just recently came back, and she's been providing a lot of funding. I mean, everything that we do is volunteer. I don't touch money. We don't have a treasurer. We wanted this website. People brought their own checks in to Copycat. And when we reached our goal, okay, now we can have a website. So this is very exciting, and I would urge you to go to the just OFA, Obama, and the whole national stuff will come up. But pretty soon, you can Google Des Moines Metro OFA, and we'll have our own website. And Wolf can post there when you have events, and then we can all go. It doesn't have to be, and so many new groups have popped up. And so we all need to be, the president wants us working together. And we're going to have a lot more people at our events if we're all working together, So you can go up, type, or punch on Tuesday, the 2nd of May. Okay, what's going on? What can I do that day? So every day you'll be able to click on something that you have free time, and you can participate. So this is great, and I'm very excited about it. So I urge you to check out OFA, because it's growing every day, and we need more people. But we don't have to go by a certain name. Like, we're all together here. So that's exciting. So thank you. And
Thank you.
I'm so glad you stood out in that rain today.
Where I live in North Carolina, it's called Indivisible, but it's basically the same thing.
There's a lot of indivisible
Yeah.
groups here too.
And that's a new one that just popped up.
Yeah.
OFA's been going for many years.
Oh.
Oak Ridge?
Guess what? I'm not going to talk about the book.
Okay.
But I do have a book, but this is for Ellen. You have got to understand what the nuclear vigil outside the White House meant to me. The first time I saw it was in 2005 when I did it was like a Buddhist peace walk all the way around the White House. And then in 2009, when I visited Iran and produced this documentary, Silent Screams, I have chapters in it. And here is back to the very first thing that taught me how tough you can be as and
patient and indomitable spirit. And Connie was there when I filmed her in 2009. So I'm just going to read what is on the chapter here, and I'm going to send it home to you so you can see it and
Oh,
listen
wonderful,
to it.
wonderful.
The sound recording is playing while there's a collage and some videos of Connie that are muted. And I say this, and I hope I pronounced it right. Concepcion Picciotto? Picciotto stands directly in front of the White House. She is a peacemaker who stays through the rain and snow, the arrests, the abuses, and the threats through nearly 30 years. Since 1981, Concepcion, or Connie, to her friends, has continued a vigil for world peace against the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. This interview was filmed January 23rd, 2010. I guess I went past the 2009. On the one-year anniversary of the death of William Thomas, her friend, in this 24/7 vigil for peace. I visited Connie and came away with a precious glimpse into the dedication that drives her and inspires peacemakers from around the world. Connie's indomitable spirit, day in and day out, impacts all of those who pause to visit with her. She shares her wisdom with unapologetic honesty as she talks about her views on peace. And this is what Connie says. We must teach the children to respect and value life, not material things. That's the only way we will have peace, Connie says. The people must demand that the government stop using the people's money to buy weapons and use it for the people's needs, such as education, jobs, housing, and health care. People need to live with dignity. If the people have what they need, there would be no reason to fight. Wow. I'd like to send this home with you because she really touched my heart.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much.
And your husband was part of this whole thing as well. I just didn't happen to catch him on film.
Well, thank you, Carla.
Oh, and before, in your handout here, there was an excellent documentary just on Iowa Public Television, I think 2 nights ago, about the facility in Arkansas and about all the leaks. And
Which one is that?
It's called Arkansas 1 and 2. Right, and all the and then interviewing people and the damage that was done to them and the covering up and how it affected the entire rest of their lives, and it was amazing. I didn't even know.
Yeah, we
Did
don't.
anybody else see it? Public television 1 or 2 nights ago?
didn't see it.
One of our members, Joan Engler, saw it. Was telling me about it.
Which program do you recall?
Iowa Public Television.
Yeah.
It's the, it's the public television station here for Iowa.
So was it a news story or a documentary? A
It's
documentary.
a documentary.
Was it on the main station?
That I
Sometimes
don't
if
know.
it's repeated, you can get it on World or.
I don't know, Joan would know, she was.
It might
too
be.
sick.
It might be on.
It's about Arkansas.
PBS.
Yeah,
.org.
and it lists the name of the town, this is the town she said it was in too.
Which is what?
It is Dardanelle. Dardanelle?
Okay.
Oh,
right.
I don't think
Reservoir.
my name's on the list anywhere to say anything, and probably most of you are too young to know that I have spent 40 years fighting for power, and I finally had a victory.
All right.
It was 5 or 6 years ago already, and so it felt good to finally have a what I call a victory in the legislature. We were trying to stop a bill that would have customers pay in advance,
QUIP.
Yeah, what's it called? QUIP?
Construction work in progress.
Yeah,
QUIP.
that's
Yep.
what it was. And we were able to stop that bill, and who backed it mostly? Republicans.
Well, imagine
Can
that.
you believe it? Neither could we when we were lobbying for it. But well, I could go into more detail, but I don't know if this is the time to get
Well,
more
congratulations.
detail. Because what I really wanted to say right here when I hear about Arkansas is that we have a publication in the Midwest called Nuke Watch. Are you familiar with Nuke Watch? All right. Well, Nuke Watch is on tour right now, as far as I know, trying to tell people in the Midwest. Is that us? I hope it is. However, we are very lucky. We do not have any live missiles in our state. There's none stored here. And that would be interesting probably to even catch the history on that. Why don't we? You know, because anyway, but most of the states around us and west of us, Nebraska, Wyoming, lots of them. I have gone to see those missiles. I have gone to march with people from Colorado at one point. And, you know, it's like everything else you're talking about here. When you see what's really going on and you can be standing right there next to a missile, it gives you a little different perspective of how
Must be part of a series on Iowa Public Television, Maggie, because that's what Joan was saying, that the one in Arkansas was about several accidents. Several at that one, at that
They
station.
did mention that there were other accidents. This one, somebody stopped to write a documentary, or do a documentary about it.
I was hoping Heather, we'd have a chance to meet Heather. Heather Ryan's our East Side Democratic Chair, so maybe she'd like to say a few words. Then I want to say hi to Jack, and then I have some instructions for everybody.
I hadn't planned on saying anything, but sure. I am Heather Ryan, the chair of the East Des Moines Democrats. We formed about a year and a couple months ago. So in that time, we've grown exponentially. We've become a PAC. And if you don't know the East Side, we're very Democrat. We're very liberal for the most part. Unfortunately, becoming more and more, you see some Trump signs popping up, which is scary, which said to me we need to be doing something. We're not active enough. So we've only had East Des Moines Democrats for about a year, and it's been fantastic. It's been absolutely wonderful. But I became politically active, oddly enough, with the nuclear freeze walk in the 1980s. Senator Harkin was here with, at the time, presidential candidate Hart. And that was my catalyst for becoming politically active.
What year?
1983. So
Wow.
I was just about to turn 11. It was in January.
Oh, we were here.
So that was my big catalyst. That's what really, in the 6th grade, I did a report on how many people would die in a nuclear war. I was, Molly, happy in junior high, but everybody's like, God, Heather's getting up there for another report. But that was my obsession. That was my obsession in junior high and high school. That's, I majored in political science because of it. So this was my big catalyst, and I've always been passionate about nuclear proliferation and what's going to happen. And now couldn't be more scary. It's just as scary now as it's ever been. With this madman at the helm, I don't know what to do. So I'm hoping that everybody else will have more focus than I do, because I am all over the board with not knowing which way to turn from one day to the next. So hopefully you'll give me some insight.
Great. You're in the right place with both Ellen and Jane here, so yeah, thanks, Heather. And then Jack, I'm so glad Jack joined us.
Yeah.
You met Jack when he was working in Jim Mauer's campaign for 3rd District Congress, and now Jack is with CCI, and maybe you can share with us what you're working on at CCI. Or...
Yeah, sorry, apologies for being late, but definitely agree that nuclear bombs are bad. I think we all agree on that. But anyways, what I'm working on at CCI is medicating food stamps, which is really important to me because my mom and my siblings are on Medicaid as well.
Can you speak up? I just don't a little loud.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm with CCI, and what I'm working on is medicating food stamps. And like I said, my family is on medicating food stamps, my mother and my 2 younger siblings. So it's really important to me because the Republicans are trying to block grant it, which I don't know, is everyone here aware of what block granting would do to these programs?
No, tell us.
Yeah, it would, first off, it would result in some massive budget cuts to these programs, but then in addition, it would give a lump sum of money to the states, and then the states can spend the budget for these programs however they want with not much oversight. So it would result in more corporate subsidies, basically. So that's what I'm working on, and targeting Junior and C. David Young, so.
Okay, now I said I was gonna have some instructions, so here are my instructions, okay? I insist that people move around this house